You're listening to the audio version of the popular videocast Cocktails with Cav, found only on X. Follow us here on Spotify and on the X platform at Cav Literature.
How's everybody doing this beautiful Monday evening? Well, not so beautiful here. We're having a lot of rain and windstorms here in New Orleans, but still a wonderful Monday to bring you another great episode, and I'm so looking forward to it. If you're a supernatural thriller novel fan, you're going to want to stick around for tonight's show, that's for sure. Take care of a little quick housekeeping. If you haven't already checked out our merch page, the QR code will take you straight to it. Look, we'd love to have your support. Check it out. We got a lot of great stuff. It's a great way to support the show and get some great swag in the process. We can keep bringing you these incredible indie authors, entertainers, and artists. And as always, up in this corner, we'll always have our QR code to our tip function to support the show. And I tell you what, tonight we're starting something new, and I'm really looking forward to it. If you're the first person to support the show at our tip function tonight, you'll receive a free copy of the guest's work on Amazon, The Bridge. And also, if you're one of the first 10 people to support the show at our tip function, you'll also get a free copy of my short story, one of my short stories in my series on Barnes & Noble. So I am really, really looking forward to giving a lot of stuff away tonight. So again, support the show and help us keep bringing you all this fun. I have a great time doing it. Well, enough of all that. Like I said, I'm really excited. Please, if you're a supernatural thriller novel lover, you're going to love our next guest. Please help me welcome to the stage the incredible author, Gregory Alexander Sharp. How you doing, Greg? You coming to us live from Hampshire, England, I understand.
Hey, George. Yeah, absolutely. It's dark here. I'm a few hours ahead of you.
That's it. That's why I have to have my trusty early day drink here in the United States, my screwdriver, for cocktails with Cav.
That'll be why I've got the Irish coffee here to try and keep me awake.
That's where
we plunge into the evening.
Yeah, we'll try not to fall off the seats by the end of the show.
Quite.
Oh, but I'm so glad you joined us. Gotten to know you on X. It's talking with you and your work in supernatural thrillers. I love the genre, absolutely, and we really like to get the viewers to know the creators. Us indie creators, we work so hard. It's an adventure, right? So, but yeah, we're people and we're working hard and also creators. So, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got into writing these great works we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
Thank you. Well, yeah, so I'm Gregory Alexander Sharp is how you'll see me showing up from a literary perspective, but, people call me Greg. I've been called Gregory when I've been in trouble mainly, or when I've been publishing books, So I live you may detect the accent. I live in England. I'm from the UK, Hampshire, as you mentioned earlier. I work in business services and consulting. I have done all my life. I've worked for some of the world's biggest firms in that business, in that sector. I have been telling stories my whole life, but only recently got into publishing or publishing my stories, I guess. I've used storytelling at work to motivate people, to sell products and services. And I've been writing stuff down in my own time since I was a small boy. The first time I felt inspired to do that, my dad said to me one Saturday afternoon when I was about 8 years old, "There's a film on. You should watch it. It's called Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein." Right? And I was a little boy and I loved it. Bela Lugosi playing Dracula, Lon Chaney Jr. playing the Wolfman, and Glenn Strange, I think, was playing Frankenstein's monster in that movie, and obviously Abbott and Costello. And I laughed my way through it. I kind of fell in love with the genre, and I always wanted to tell a story about a supernatural theme, and now, well, I've published a couple.
Yeah, and it's I tell you what, that every artist has a different inspiration, and it's wonderful how you got it from your boyhood with that genre, because it is not only a great comedic film, but just the genre itself with the greats of the horror, early horror movies in it. You know, Absolutely. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, when you decided to actually sit down and write your work, how hard was the process for you to actually translate your inspiration into the works that you came up with?
But there's almost two answers to that. I think it was actually quite easy for me to express the thoughts I had in written words. What was difficult was finding the time to do it.
Right.
Right. You know, life is full of commitments. Right. Adult life is particularly full of commitments. And, you know, the older I got, the more I kept saying, I'm going to write that damn book one day. And my wife and I went on a vacation not long after my dad passed away, and we're talking around 2007, and we went to Rome for a few days. Just I needed a break, I needed to get away. So I took a few days away from work, and we went to Rome, walked the streets, gawping at the amazing sights there, hired a car and drove south to the Amalfi Coast, which is breathtaking. And we went from there to the ancient ruins of Pompeii. And I said to my wife, Dee, I said, look, I am going to write that book, and I'm going to set it here.
And
so,
yeah, and both the settings show up in El Lupo, right?
Right, absolutely. And that was 2006. And I had a run at it, but I was just way too busy. And there was literally, nearly 2007, I guess that was. And it would have been 2020 when the pandemic hit. Right. And I didn't have to get on that train for 3 hours a day. And finally, I had the time.
I think that's something a lot of people don't understand about indie authors and creators, and just how hard we work, because, a lot of us have a day job, so to speak, right? And
Absolutely.
And we're striving to get our creations either on paper, canvas, whatever it may be, and around that schedule as well, and to bring something to the people that means not only something to us, but hopefully something to them, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's a juggling act. And, for most of my adult life, it was a battle I found I couldn't win. Right. Something had to change. There had to be a change in the dynamic of my life schedule. I didn't anticipate the way it came, but when it came, there was a shift. And now there's kind of no going back.
Right. And it is. Well, that's good. That's awesome. Because, don't get me started on the marketing part of it as well, right?
Right.
But that's why we have the great Cocktails with Cav. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Spreading the love.
Oh, that's right. But, well, look, let's talk about some of your great work that you have. Obviously, you're available on Amazon and all over. And I know you first, when we began talking about it, and you talked about the scenery in El Lupo. Why don't you tell us a little about that book? Because, like I said, I love supernatural thrillers, and it just, it grabbed my attention, that's for sure.
Well, I tried to wrap a few things up in it, okay? And so the things that had happened for me at that point in my life, I'd just lost my father, and I was suffering with grief. So there's a heavy theme about grieving in that book, and one of the main characters, Nick Frobisher, has just lost his father. That's what triggers the journey to the Amalfi Coast. He has a friend called Charlie Mortimer who suffers with anxiety and has panic attacks. And when I was a younger man, when I was 22, my brother passed away, and at that time I suffered with panic attacks and a lot of stress-related and grief-related problems at that time in my life. So I wanted to weave that in too. So I took these two very real-world problems put them in this phenomenal scenery of Italy, which is beautiful, and then wove in the Wolfman.
Right.
And brought the monster in. And how do you weave that in? How do you make the real world of modern life collide with this ancient curse and make the adventure that these two guys go on feel like it's credible some way whilst still being supernatural? That was the challenge I set myself. And that was what I chose to do.
Right. And a lot of times with supernatural thrillers, the monster, can be quite analogous, right?
Right.
So, but it's fascinating work, that's for sure. And then you had, I believe, your follow-up to it came, Kill and Cure, LUPO 2.0. Wait, what happens? You drove on to the sequel?
So, I don't want to give too many spoilers away.
Right.
But I'll give a little something without trying to sort of wreck it for people who haven't read the books. The werewolf is not a myth. It's real. Okay, so there really is a thing that is the werewolf, the lycanthrope. A big theme that weaves its way through the second half of Il Lupo and all the way through Kill and Cure is, what if you had a werewolf who was desperate to find a way to be cured?
Right.
And so I had to come up with some creative ideas around, well, how would you cure a werewolf? Who would you even go to figure that stuff out, right? So I've introduced a witch from the Highlands of Scotland.
It seems
right.
likely.
I mean, who else are you going to go to?
Right.
So we have a witch in the Highlands of Scotland, and she's a very real human being. Half my family and my ancestry is from Aberdeenshire and the Highlands in Scotland. So I'm quite well versed with how things are up there. It's a little different from England for sure. And the countryside is so rugged there. It's a very stark difference from Italy. So we go to the Highlands of Scotland. We meet these very kind of rugged, tough Scots folk, one of whom happens to be a witch and has this knowledge that our heroes need in order to find a way back to sort of normality. It's not easy, however, and we find out that they may need to have a sacrificial lamb to make the magic happen, and unfortunately that sacrificial lamb needs to be a vampire. So things get a little tougher when you start saying, well, we've got to find a vampire, and we're probably going to have to kill them in order for me to be emancipated.
Right.
And there's a whole dynamic around, I don't want to kill anyone. That's why I want to be cured. Now you're telling me I've got to kill someone to be cured.
That's an interesting perspective for sure. I think I can't wait to get a hold of Kill and Cure too, just to make sure to follow up on Il Lupo, but because it's just, and I have to tell you, a lot of in personal opinion, and hopefully your readers would share it and grab up the book and check it out, but the breathtaking scenery descriptions, the Amalfi Coast and just everything, it's gorgeous in its own right,
Yeah, I mean, that was also something I really wanted to try and do, was give a sense of being there. Right, I've read a number of books over the years where I've felt the author has really placed you in that location, and that's helped you feel, for instance, the jeopardy or the thrill or the excitement or the fear that's going on in the chapters that you're reading, because you're placed within that location. I wanted to try and achieve that. Some of the feedback I've had is that I've done, a reasonable job at it, and it's something I feel like I kind of pulled off. I'll let everybody else be the judge of that. But that was absolutely something that I, quite deliberately set out to do. Actually, the second book, Kill and Cure, there's quite a good chunk of that is set in the Highlands, and I go a little more into just how rugged and dangerous the weather, for instance, is up there.
Right.
But the first part of the book that's down in London is much more about the events than the location.
Yeah, and the Highlands of Scotland is always an intriguing place anyway. You know, for most people, I know here in America, we like a lot of television shows in the Highlands that we love, you know, and just the scenery is a huge part of it and bringing that feeling of the story, you know. So, but I'll concur. You did a great job for sure in some of the descriptions. But it's... What do you do to unwind? I mean, supernatural thrillers are a tough genre anyway. You know, you have to keep the pace going in the thrillers. What do you do to unwind?
Yeah, well, I hunt vampires, obviously.
Yes, that's...
seriously. So,
that's relaxing enough.
Right, sure. You know, I mean, I play a good bit of golf on the weekends. I play pretty much every Sunday morning with my pals. I walk my dog, Branston, most days. I hang out with my wife, Dee. I support a very good friend of mine called Fenrir Thorvaldsen, real name, who's host of Werewolf, the podcast, which is a serial drama podcast. And I actually play a couple of characters in his show, which I pop up just every so often as these different characters. So I have a bit of fun doing that. I mean, years gone by, I was a martial arts guy through and through. I used to train in karate dojos 5 or 6 days a week. I don't really do that so much anymore, but I'm always thinking about martial arts. Always.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're gonna kill a vampire to cure the werewolf with the witch, you're gonna need a little
Well, if you've got no silver bullets and you've got no stakes, you better be able to defend yourself.
That's right. No, I tell you, I think that being able to unwind like you do with golf, and I imagine that gives you a lot of time to think too, and plot into some next works. Is there any scoop for Cocktails with Cav that you're working on something next, or?
Well, I am.
A scoop. Everybody pay attention.
Yeah, there is a scoop here. There is a scoop here. So my 2023, in summary, was 2 published novels and a short story. So LUPO, Kill and Cure, and a short story called The Bridge, which I put out on Halloween. And that's available for free until Christmas Day. I'll just super plug that.
Awesome.
On Amazon. And my 2024 aspirations, I have 3 novels I want to write. I'm never going to write 3 novels in 2024. But the 3 that I want to write next are, I want to close out El Lupo with a third book. And I know everything that happens in this book. I just need to get it. I need to express it in the words. I know how it ends.
That's right. We're not going to get that big of a scoop.
I'm going to tell you. I've got to write it first. So there's that. There is a novel I want to write with a more spiritual slant, which will be a little bit about the meaning of life. Why are we here? What are we here to learn? Things like that. But the one I'm probably going to write first, and I have started on it, is going to be a sort of murder and revenge thriller, not supernatural. The first half of which is very loosely based around the events that happen in a popular song from the 1970s, and I'm not going to give you any more than that because I don't want somebody else to write it first.
Right.
When it comes out, it will be very apparent what the inspiration has been.
That's amazing, though. Yeah, and I think we all can't wait for all of those works. You know, they sound like interesting stories. You know, for sure. Especially if you're going to round out Il Lupo with the third novel. That's going to be great too. And then spread out away from the supernatural thrillers. You know, that's fascinating. Is it something you wanted to do? Is something different? You know, once you get into that genre of supernatural thrillers, and then, you know, I mean, I imagine not pigeonholed then.
Yeah, so I feel as though I've got stories to tell that are a little bit kind of multi-genre. I think there's a few different lanes I can occupy. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm ever going to be an author of great romantic fiction. That's probably not me, right?
Right.
But stuff where there are plot twists, stuff where there are thrills along the way, jeopardy. It doesn't have to be supernatural to contain those elements. So I feel as though I can have that at the core of what I'm trying to do, and maybe bend this way and that a little. Maybe I can go more into horror if I was going further into the sort of supernatural thing. Because I very much view my books, although there's werewolves and vampires, it's supernatural thriller, not out and out horror. So maybe I could go deeper into the horror. But coming the other way, I think I can go into the sort of crime and punishment, the sort of murder and revenge, that type of thing. And again, maintain these central core tenets of plot twists and unexpected thrills.
Yeah, my wife's in the back yelling, "You'll never be a romantic author either." No. But what's and please tell us what your writing process is like. I get to talk to so many different authors, and I find that part fascinating as well. Just everyone has a different technique slightly, and what drives them and how they get the words on the paper, because that's such. I know when I do other interviews, I and talk to people about that. What do you think about good advice for writing? And I'm right, because a lot of the times that's right. That's it. That begins your first roadblock that never becomes reality. So what's your technique when you began writing your stories?
Yeah, so I think pretty deeply about this stuff. So if I'm out practicing golf rather than playing against my mates, because I'm very competitive and I get very focused on that. But if I'm out walking my dog, or if I'm on my own practicing or something like that, I get quite deeply into the thought about, well, what do I want to happen in this story? And then I will write down essentially a beginning and an end. Where do I want to start and where do I want to finish? Then I'll start to think about, well, not necessarily chapters, but break points. What is the first part of the story I want to tell? And I'll sketch that out. And then I'll sit down to write it, and I will, broadly speaking, ignore everything I've done before and make it up as I go along. It's like I've been told there are two types of writers: planners and pantsers. Right, so the planner will sit down and plan everything out in infinitesimal detail, and then put the words in around that framework. And the pantser will fly by the seat of their pants, right? So I guess I kind of sit somewhere in the middle. I like to have an idea about what I want to write, but then I want to be, I almost want to feel like I'm improvising. I want it to feel reactive and responsive and not too controlled, a little bit wild.
Right. And that's good advice too, because I think it might, drive the story forward at a better pace. Sometimes I agree with your system a little bit, because it's sometimes if you restrain yourself too much in, like you said, details, it not only bogs you down, it can bog the story down, but everybody has a different technique for sure. But
they do. I mean, it's like I know I've got a fire hose here, and I know the water's going to go in at this end and it's going to come out at that end. But when I open that tap, that faucet up as wide as it will go, the thing's going to spray around all over the place, and I'm just going to have to go with it.
Nah, that's a heck of an analogy. That's that's a good one.
Thank you.
and I guess really, part of the reason I love to talk with indie creators is, to help other indie creators. I know on X, this community we've kind of built, and everybody talks to one another, and it's helpful, to talk to other people, especially in the hard part of the work, like marketing, and because it's not natural sometimes, to be flouting yourself, as it were,
No.
And well, what do you do? What are you doing? Anything special for marketing? Events, meet and greet author things, or?
So I haven't done any of probably the things that will move the needle most significantly for me. I haven't done any face-to-face events or anything like that. And full disclosure, we have a health situation in my home that means that since the pandemic hit, my opportunity to get out and expose myself to microbes that I might then bring home as an unwanted souvenir has been reduced, right? So I don't get out in the world as much as I used to. So I've had to limit myself to doing things on the internet, right? I have a bunch of memes and short sort of promo video clips that I have for Twitter, for X. I have some slightly different memes that I tailor to Instagram. And then I do some slightly different content again for TikTok. And, my face will appear talking on TikTok. It doesn't really on Twitter. So it feels to me like there's a different audience expecting different types of content on some of those different platforms. And I've tried to educate myself about what works in the different areas. I do engage with bloggers and the occasional podcaster.
Right.
So the things that I can do virtually, right? So I'm trying to show up wherever I can in the ways that are available to me. And none of these things have cost me a penny, right? These are things that we, as indies, without, a multi-million-dollar corporation funding our marketing effort, right? We can do these things without spending a penny, right? There are things that we can do in addition to that, steps I haven't taken at this time, like paid adverts on Amazon or paid adverts on Facebook. I know others that have mixed results. Some have said that it's moved the needle for them, and others have said it just, they've got nothing, right? And it seems hard to figure out who's going to get what and when.
We love free in the indie world.
Yes, we do.
We love free.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an adventure on the marketing side. Just, and I think as indie creators, we just want desperately for other people to be able to see our work, and hopefully, heck, even this show, helps on that front for some of our creators that are guests. But we definitely, Greg, I have to tell you, I really enjoyed you coming on. I think your work's going to do wonderfully, and please, everybody, like I said, I got to know Greg on X. He's wonderful to talk to, engaging, and so please go give him a follow over on X. His screen name's right underneath his video for you to go follow him. And also, look, we have above us his QR code. It will take you straight to his link tree, which will give see if I can pull it up for you. Yeah, it has the connections to all his work, including his author's page on Amazon. So by all means, please visit the QR code and go visit Greg at his link tree and check out his work, because LUPO and of course Killing Cure is the follow-up, and as we found out today is a scoop, the third book will be coming soon. And Greg, you gotta promise to come back on, man, when you're ready to launch the third book for sure. I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Be my pleasure.
Oh, awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, again, please, the great author Gregory Alexander Sharp with his, let me pull up your work one more time just to remind him. He has a great short story called The Bridge that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, free till December?
Free until December the 25th.
free until Christmas Day. So y'all jump on it. And then, of course, his other great works that we've been talking about, Il Lupo, the first book, great supernatural thriller, and the follow-up, Killing Cure. They're both available on Amazon as well. And like I said, all you need to do is go up and visit his link tree. You'll have links to all of Greg's work. So, but Greg, I certainly enjoyed it, man, and I certainly appreciate you, like I said, being on with us. It means a lot to us as well.
Well, thank you, George, and the support you're giving this community is phenomenal, and it's greatly appreciated by me and all my contemporaries. So, thank you.
No problem, man. Well, you have a wonderful rest of the evening in Hampshire with your Irish coffee. Cheers, my friend.
Spoiler alert, it's actually English tea, but we won't go there.
That's right. Gotcha. Well, cheers, my friend, and have a great evening.
Thank you.